My name is Ethan Walker. I'm 38, a radiologist in a medium-sized city that thinks it's bigger than it is. My job is simple in theory. Find what doesn't belong. A shadow, a mass, a pattern that breaks the rules. I never expected to start doing that at home. The night it really hit me, I was leaning in the bathroom doorway, watching my wife brush her teeth. Lauren is 28, blonde, usually slow in everything that isn't work. Slow mornings, slow kisses, slow getting ready. But that night she was in fast forward. Short, sharp strokes with the toothbrush. No humming, no playful foam smile in the mirror like she used to give me. Just eyes locked on her own reflection, jaw tight, like she was late for something I hadn't been told about. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just tired," she said, mouth full of mint and hurry. Tired. That word had started showing up everywhere. Our hugs had shifted from chest to chest, full-body things to sideways shoulder taps you give a coworker. In bed, every time my hand found her hip or her back, there was a reason it couldn't go further. Long day, store stress, headache, rain check. Okay? Always tired, never touched. The excuses sounded reasonable. The pattern didn't. The boutique she'd opened with her friend, Brooke, became the center of every conversation. I wanted to be supportive. I helped with the numbers, I listened to the problems. But somewhere along the way, the store turned into Jason Cole. Successful, charming, tasteful. Those were her words, and she used them a lot. "He has such good taste in jackets, you'd respect him," she'd say at dinner, eyes focused somewhere past my shoulder. "Jason came in again today. You should have seen the watch he was wearing." Jason says. Every time she said his name, there was a brightness in her face I hadn't seen aimed at me in months. A little spark, small but obvious, like the way a monitor blips when something changes in a patient's rhythm. I told myself I was being insecure, jealous, overthinking, but I started watching. The way her phone stayed face down, the way she pulled away a half-second too fast from my touch, the way our house felt more like a waiting room than a home. I still called it a rough patch out loud. In my gut, I knew it was the first sign of something worse. And that quiet voice in my chest, the one I usually trusted with life and death calls, had started whispering the same simple thing. Something's off and it's not going away. It happened on a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic. No thunder, no yelling. Just a dead battery and a locked door I didn't know existed. I was on the couch, charting reports on my laptop, when my phone died mid-call. I needed to return one more call to a resident. Lauren's phone was on the coffee table, screen lit. We'd always known each other's codes. It was never even a conversation, just part of being married. Same Wi-Fi, same bank passwords, same stupid streaming login we kept forgetting. I picked up her phone without thinking, tapped in the old 4-digit code, and watched the screen stay black. Incorrect password. I frowned, tried again. Same result. "Did you change your password?" I called toward the kitchen. She didn't answer right away. I heard the water running, a drawer closing a little too hard, then her footsteps. She came around the corner already reaching for the phone. "Yeah, sorry, store stuff," she said, taking it from my hand a little too fast. "We've got financial info on here now, vendor accounts, all that. Brooke said we should tighten it up." Her voice was casual. Her eyes weren't. They were wide, alert, like I'd walked into a room I wasn't supposed to see. "You could have just told me," I said. "It's not a big deal, Ethan. It's just security." She laughed once, but it was thin. "Here, I'll call them for you." She kept the phone in her hand while she dialed, held it like a shield. When the call ended, she walked back to the kitchen with it still in her pocket. That's when it hit me. There were now parts of my wife's life I wasn't allowed to see. After that, late nights at the store multiplied. Inventory, meetings with reps. "We're finally getting momentum. I can't screw this up," she'd say, grabbing her bag, kissing my cheek instead of my mouth. She started coming home around 9, sometimes later, straight to the shower, no hug, no kiss, no nothing. "God, I'm disgusting," she'd say, already halfway down the hall. I've been on my feet all day. I'm gross. But she didn't look exhausted. She looked wired. Bright eyes. Flushed cheeks. Like someone who'd just had coffee, not a 12-hour workday. I lay there at night next to her, staring at the ceiling while she scrolled through that same locked phone. Screen glow hitting her face, not mine. We used to be wide open, phones, thoughts, everything. That Tuesday, with one failed password and one snatched phone, I realized something simple and ugly. Whatever life she was living now, I wasn't fully in it anymore. It was a Thursday in March, gray and cold. The kind of day that makes the whole city look like it needs a shower. Lauren texted me around 4. Busy tonight. Staying late at the store organizing new inventory. Don't wait up for dinner. I stared at the heart for a second. Felt a mechanical, like punctuation, not affection. I told myself to be a good husband. Supportive. Understanding. The guy who brings his wife food because she's grinding for her dream. I ordered her favorite takeout. Thai extra spicy. The way she liked it before she started saying heavy food made her feel gross. Picked it up after my shift, the car smelling like peppers and garlic and the version of us that used to laugh over cheap containers at the kitchen table. On the way there, I thought, I'll text her, let her know I'm coming. Then I decided against it. Surprise her. Do something simple and decent. Maybe we'd eat at the back of the boutique, talk, and feel normal for an hour. Traffic was light. I hit every green light. Felt like the universe was lining things up. Halfway there, I thought I should make sure they were still open, just in case they closed early. I called Brooke. Hey, Brooke, it's Ethan. Oh, hey, is everything okay? She asked. Yeah, just checking if you and Lauren are still at the store. I grabbed dinner for you guys. Thought I'd swing by. There was a pause. Not a long one, just long enough. We closed at 5, she said. Slow day. We left a little early, actually. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I asked. Yeah, I went home. Lauren took off too. Said she had personal things to handle. Brooke's voice was light, like she was saying nothing at all. Did she not tell you? The word personal echoed in my head. Not store stuff. Not inventory. Personal. I felt something drop inside my chest. Not explode. Just drop. Heavy and cold. Got it, I said. My voice sounded calm, almost detached. Thanks, Brooke. Don't mention I called. Okay? I don't want her feeling guilty for cutting out early. Sure, she said. Everything okay? Yeah. I lied. All good. I hung up and pulled into a random parking lot. The takeout bag sitting in the passenger seat like a joke. The food was still hot. I wasn't. I just sat there. Went back over the last 3 months in my head like I was reviewing a case. The password change. The late nights. The showers before hello. Jason this, Jason that. The way she smiled when she said his name. None of it looked harmless anymore. She didn't have to lie. That's what kept digging in. She could have said she was grabbing a drink with a friend. Running errands. Whatever. Instead, she chose a story that kept me far away from her. I stared at the steering wheel, at my own hands, and finally let the word rise up where I'd been burying it. Betrayal. Not confirmed. Not proven. But real enough that I couldn't shove it back down. I drove home with untouched food, a quiet car, and one clear thought. If she could lie that easily about a Thursday night, what else had she already rewritten? A week after that Thursday, I stopped pretending this was just in my head. I called the hospital at 6 a.m. and told them I needed a personal day. The charge nurse asked if everything was okay. I said yes. It was a lie, but I'd been getting practice. By 10:30, I was parked across the street from the boutique, coffee cooling in the cup holder, engine off. No radio, no podcast, just my own breathing and the dull hum of traffic. I felt ridiculous. A grown man hiding in his own car, watching his wife's store like he was waiting to catch a shoplifter. But under the embarrassment was something sharper. Anger that I even had to do this. Anger that trust wasn't enough anymore. Around 11, he showed up. Tall, well put together, early 30s, dark hair, expensive-looking coat. Even from across the street, I could see the kind of confidence that comes from never hearing the word no when you want something. Jason Cole. He had to be. He walked in like he'd done it 100 times. No hesitation. I watched Lauren appear just inside the doorway. That familiar blonde head. That familiar body language I hadn't felt in months. She hugged him. Not a quick, friendly squeeze. A hug that lingered. Her hands stayed on his back a beat too long. When she pulled away, she smoothed her hair, straightened her top, like she wanted to reset herself in front of him. I watched her laugh at something he said. She leaned in, touched his arm, that easy, playful touch I used to get when I walked into a room. Customers came and went. He stayed. An hour passed. Then another. No bags in his hands. No rush. Just two people drifting closer every time they stood side by side. Brooke was there at first, moving around, talking to a few customers. Then, around one, she grabbed her bag, waved, and left. Convenient. It was just Lauren and Jason after that. I watched their body language shift when they were alone. The space between them got smaller. She tilted her head when she listened to him. That soft, open expression she hadn't used on me in a long time. From the outside, it probably still looked harmless. From where I was sitting, it didn't. My fingers were locked on the steering wheel so tight they hurt. Every part of me wanted to storm in, flip the table, demand answers. Instead, I stayed put. I just watched. Because that's what I do for a living. Observe, collect evidence, don't call it until you're sure. By the time he finally left, 2 hours later, I knew one thing. I wasn't just a suspicious husband anymore. I was watching an affair grow right in front of me. A few days after watching them in the boutique, I stopped waiting for a confession that would never come. Jason showed up again around noon. Same routine, confident stride, easy smile, like he owned the place. I was in the same car, same spot, same coffee gone cold. Lauren met him at the door with that smile. The one I used to think was mine. They talked inside for maybe 20 minutes. No rush, no urgency. Just two people who knew they had the day arranged exactly how they wanted it. Then he left. I started the engine this time. He pulled out onto the main road, and I followed. Not on his bumper, not obvious. Just another car in traffic. Heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, palms slick on the wheel. I told myself 100 stories in those 15 minutes. Maybe he was heading to an office, a client meeting. Maybe this was all in my head and I'd feel like an idiot, go home, and force myself to forget it. He didn't turn into an office. He didn't turn into a restaurant. He pulled into a downtown hotel. Business style, mid-range, the kind that hosts conferences and affairs in equal measure. He parked like he'd done it before. No hesitation. Grabbed nothing from the trunk, no suitcase, no garment bag. Just walked straight in. My stomach turned. I parked in a side row and just sat there, hands on the wheel, engine off, watching the glass doors. I argued with myself in silence. Drive away. You don't want to be this guy. You don't want to be the husband in the parking lot, watching. The other voice was quieter, colder. You already are. 40 minutes crawled by. I watched people come and go, businessmen, couples, a family with 2 kids. Normal life, all of them. My life, parked and rotting in a sedan while my wife's important customer checked into a hotel alone. Then Lauren's car turned into the lot. I knew her headlights. I knew the shape of that car better than my own face. She pulled into a spot on the far side, away from him. Sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel, like she was giving herself a pep talk. Then she got out. She wasn't dressed like she was about to unpack boxes at a boutique. No flats, no oversized sweater. Nice jeans, heels, simple tops that fit her a little too well to be comfortable workwear. She paused, looked around the lot like a teenager sneaking out, then walked quickly toward the hotel entrance. Jason opened the door from inside. She slipped in. That was the punch. Not a suspicion, not a theory, visual confirmation. All the small changes, all the late nights, all the lies pulled together into one clean, brutal image. My wife walking into a hotel where another man was waiting. I sat there for a minute, breathing like I'd just run a mile. Then I got out. Inside, the lobby was bright, neutral, forgettable. People at the bar. A couple checking in. TV's on mute. I walked to the front desk. Checking in? The receptionist asked. Thinking about it, I said. Quick question, have a guy about 6'2", dark hair, tan coat, check in the last hour? And a blonde woman in a white top just now? Late 20s. Her friendly smile stiffened. She glanced at her monitor, then back at me. I'm sorry, sir. We can't share guest information. I'm not asking for a room number, I said, jaw tight. Just yes or no. We still can't disclose that, she replied, voice softening. Privacy policy. I could feel the heat rising in my face. Not at her. At the whole situation. At the fact that the only person being protected here was the woman lying to me. Got it, I said, stepping back. I walked outside, leaned against the cold wall of the building, and pulled out my phone. I called Lauren. She answered on the second ring, a little out of breath. Hey, what's up? I'm busy with suppliers at the store. Can I call you back? Suppliers. Store. The same script while I was standing against the hotel she'd just walked into. I looked up at the windows. No idea which one was hers. It didn't matter. The lie was enough. I let the silence stretch for a second. Yeah, I said finally. Sure. Call me when you're done. Okay. Love you, she said. Quick, like a habit. Yeah. I answered, and hung up. I stood there with my phone in my hand, the building at my back, and I knew something simple and final. My marriage, the one I thought I had, died right there in that parking lot. She just didn't know it yet. I don't remember half the drive home from that hotel. I remember the first 5 minutes. Hands shaking on the wheel, vision tunneling, a mix of rage and nausea sitting in my throat. Then something familiar kicked in, the same thing that happens when a scan comes back ugly and there's no way to make it pretty. You stop feeling and you start planning. By the time I pulled into our driveway, I wasn't replaying her walking into the hotel anymore. I was thinking in steps. I walked into the house like it was any other day, put my keys in the bowl, took off my shoes. The normal motions felt wrong in a place that suddenly didn't feel like mine. Then I went to my office. Bottom drawer, fireproof box. I pulled it out and set it on the desk. Inside were the things I used to look at with pride, proof that I'd built something before Lauren, that I'd been responsible, that I'd brought something solid into the marriage. Bank statements, investment records, the account that held my savings from the years before I met her, and the paperwork that tied all of that to her boutique. Personal loan agreement. My name is lender. Her name is borrower. Clear numbers. Clear terms. Both of our signatures at the bottom. I read it twice, slower the second time. This was the one thing she hadn't lied about. Where the money came from. It was mine, and on paper it stayed mine. I took photos of every page. Emailed copies to myself and to a separate backup account I hardly used. Printed another set and put it in a different file upstairs. Belt, suspenders, and then some. Then I picked up my phone and called a divorce attorney a colleague had mentioned once. Back when divorce was something that happened to other couples. They fit me in for a phone consultation. I told him everything. Calm. Straight. No dramatics. My wife is having an affair, I said. She's at a hotel with him right now. I funded her business with premarital savings. I have signed loan documents. I want to know my options. My voice only shook once, right there. Saying it out loud like that, present tense, made it real. He asked questions. Dates, amounts, timelines. Explained what adultery meant in our state. What it did to leverage. What documentation I needed. What I could likely reclaim. Every sentence he gave me was a piece of ground under my feet. By the end of the call, I had a plan. I'd confront her tonight. I wouldn't argue about what I'd seen. I wouldn't beg for explanations I already knew would be lies. I'd state what I knew, state what I wanted, and be done. When evening came, I sat on the couch and waited. No TV, no drink, just the low hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock on the wall. My heart was wrecked, no question, but my mind, sharp, cold, ready. Whatever this night turned into, one thing was already decided. I wasn't going to be the man she could talk in circles anymore. She came home around 8. The door opened, keys hit the bowl, same routine as always. For a second, standing there listening to her hum some song under her breath, I almost forgot what I knew. Then I remembered the hotel. "Hey," she called. "Have you eaten yet?" Today was insane. Jason came in and, "Lauren," I said, "sit down. We need to talk." Something in my tone made her stop. She set her bag down slowly and walked over to the couch. Sat on the edge, hands on her knees. "What's going on?" she asked. I looked her in the eye and laid it out. No warm-up, no softening. The late nights, the phone password. On Thursday you worked late, when the store closed at 5. Watching you with Jason at the boutique. Following him to the hotel. Seeing you walk in 40 minutes later. Calling you while I was standing outside that same hotel and hearing you tell me you were with suppliers. Her face went through 3 expressions in 5 seconds. Confusion, fear, irritation. Then she settled on denial. "Ethan, no. That's not what you think. Jason is just... Don't..." I cut in. "Don't insult us both. I'm not guessing. I watched you. I watched him. I know exactly where you were and who you were with." She tried again anyway. "He's an important client. We talk about business. It's not what..." "You booked a hotel," I said. "You lied to my face while you were inside. Stop talking to me like I'm stupid." Silence. Her jaw worked. She stared at the floor. When she realized there was no wiggle room, something in her shifted. The fear drained out. What replaced it wasn't regret. It was anger. "Fine," she said. "You want the truth? Here." She looked up at me, eyes sharp now. "I didn't plan for this to happen, okay? But Jason makes me feel something I never felt with you. Ever. Not once." Her words were flat, measured, not screamed. That made them worse. "With you it's always been controlled," she said. "Predictable. You do everything right. But it never did enough for me. I've been pretending for years, Ethan. I thought it would get better. It didn't. I just sat there, breathing, listening to my own heartbeat in my ears while she kept going. Jason is different," she continued. "I feel wanted with him. Alive. I don't have to fake anything. I don't have to act like it was good when it wasn't." She started comparing him to me, how he made her feel, how I didn't. Not in detail, not graphic, but clear enough that every sentence landed like a slap. It wasn't a confession. It was a demolition. She wasn't just admitting what she'd done. She was rewriting our entire history, turning every moment of intimacy we'd ever had into a lie she'd been carrying around. By the time she ran out of words, the room felt hollow. She looked at me like she was waiting for me to break. Yell, cry, beg, do something. I didn't. I just sat there, feeling something deep inside me burn out and go dark. Whatever love I still had for her didn't die when I caught her at the hotel. It died right there on that couch, listening to her use the truth like a weapon. When she finished, the room went quiet. I looked at her, this woman I'd married, defended, funded, trusted, and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Whatever was left between us wasn't love. It was just paperwork and shared furniture. I stood up. "Okay," I said. "That's it. Our marriage ends tonight." Her face flickered. She hadn't expected that. Affairs survive on the belief that the betrayed spouse will stick around and absorb it. "Ethan, wait. Can we at least talk about this?" she asked, voice softer now. "We could try therapy. I'm confused. I don't know what You're not confused," I said. "You're just caught. There's a difference." I kept my voice calm. No yelling, no shaking, just facts. "You have until the end of the weekend to move out," I continued. "Monday morning I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer already knows about the affair. He has the dates. He has the hotel. He has the loan documents for the boutique. I'm done." She blinked hard, like she'd just been slapped. "You called a lawyer?" she said. "Today," I answered. "While you were with him." Her eyes filled with tears then. Real ones, maybe. It didn't matter. She reached for my arm. "Ethan, please." I was angry. I shouldn't have said half of that. I stepped back. You said it because you meant it, I replied. And that's fine. You chose him. I choose me. I went to the bedroom, grabbed an overnight bag, threw in clothes, toiletries, and my laptop. No drama, no slamming drawers, just packing a life down to what I needed for the next few days. On the way out, I stopped in the doorway. You'll hear from my lawyer, I said. From now on, anything important goes through him. Don't call me unless it's an emergency. I checked into a hotel across town. Different one. Clean, anonymous. I called my attorney from the desk, told him to move fast. Then I called my accountant, told him I needed every document tied to that boutique loan pulled and duplicated. Lying in that bland room, staring at a ceiling that wasn't mine, I waited for the anger to come back. Didn't. What I felt instead was simple. I was done being her husband. Now I was just a man protecting what was his. I went back to the house that weekend like a contractor, not a husband. In purpose only. I parked in the driveway, sat there for a second, then reminded myself. This isn't your home anymore. It's just a building with your stuff in it. I walked in without knocking. Lauren was in the kitchen, eyes swollen, hair tied back, wearing one of those old hoodies she used to steal from me. She looked smaller somehow. Ethan, can we talk? She asked. No, I said. I'm just here for clothes and documents. She stepped in front of me, voice shaking. I'm sorry for what I said. I was trying to hurt you. I didn't mean all of it. I regret. I don't care. I cut in. You can regret it with your therapist or your friends. I'm not your audience anymore. That shut her up. I went to the bedroom and started filling bags. Shirts, jeans, suits for work, the basics. Boxed up my personal files, passport, certificates, anything that had my name alone on it. Every photo frame I passed with our faces in it, I laid flat on its face without stopping. I'd deal with them later. On my way back through the living room, she tried again. Tears, apologies, the whole script. I didn't mean to throw everything away, she said. Maybe we could slow down the divorce, figure things out. I'll end it with him. I shook my head. It already is thrown away, I said. Lawyers handle it from here. You've got until tomorrow night to move out. After that, it gets formal. And then I walked out. The next few weeks were paperwork and signatures. My lawyer did exactly what he said he would. The signed loan agreement and financial records made it clear the boutique money was mine before the marriage. The affair gave us grounds that cut any leverage she thought she had. I got every cent back. The house went to me. She kept her clothes, her car, and whatever was left of her dignity. I blocked her number, changed mine, deleted her from social media, not with rage, just with finality. I took down the wedding photos one by one and put them in a box in the garage. Not shredded, not burned, just stored somewhere I had no reason to visit. Nights were quiet for a while. Empty bed, empty house, too much silence. But there's a difference between being alone and being disrespected. I chose alone. What stuck with me the most wasn't her with him in the hotel. It was the way she used my trust and our history like tools to carve herself a new story. Like everything we'd built together was disposable. That's what this became for me in the end. Not a revenge story, not a win, just a reset. One boundary at a time, one signed document at a time, one blocked number at a time. I didn't get her back. I got myself back, and that was enough.